from Judicial Watch that pins lawfare and electoral attacks on this guy called Norm Eisen and many others. Attorney General Merrick Garland, Attorney General Lisa Monaco, Jack Smith, all taking instruction from the Democrat superstructure to help attack and prosecute alternate electors, to help rig elections by enabling
Tom Connors here. How can I help you, sir?
Their political opponents and create fake operations called Arctic Frost.
Excellent. It's on its way.
To go after and attack President Trump. Judicial Watch now suing the DOJ because they did submit a request under federal law, under FOIA, to get access to this information. The DOJ, for whatever reason, has said, we're not going to give you that information, and so now a lawsuit is necessary for some unexplainable cause. Here's what Judicial Watch said. They said, we just filed a lawsuit against the DOJ for all records that link Norm Eisen to the FBI's Biden-era Arctic Frost probe, specifically involving the Criminal Division, the Office of Information Policy, Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, who's covering up an obstruction co-conspirator for Hunter Biden, and Special Counsel Jack Smith, who was an illegal U.S. prosecutor for whom there have been no consequences at all. Judicial Watch saying, we're now suing, here's the background, announcing a lawsuit under FOIA against the DOJ for all records
what you need
to this corruption. The Arctic Frost investigation, if you
player, we'll get it to you.
It was opened back in April 2022. Joe Biden stole the election. They came in, they said, perfect, we're going to use the DOJ to go out and attack 430 Republicans, all of Trump's deputies, everybody on the right side of the aisle, including campaign committees and the RNC. They went after records and metadata from Trump and at least 10 Republican senators.
Just sent you the stash spot.
Gobbled up, transferred over to the special counsel Jack Smith. They said he was an independent counsel and he was doing his own investigation. And of course, he wasn't. He was inheriting all of the lawfare that was bundled together by Joe Biden, his political opponent. So this guy called Norm Eisen, he's a progressive activist attorney, according to Judicial Watch. He was accused of helping develop the legal theories and creating a memo that ultimately led to the prosecution of alternate electors. And this, we remember, from Rachel Alexander, shout out to her on X, said back when she wrote this for the Tennessee Star back November 30th, 2024, remember, this is Chris Mays, the Attorney General from Arizona. And she went after and prosecuted the alternate electors here. And where did she get the idea? She's too dumb to figure it out on her own. So is her boss, Katie Hobbs, the governor who stole her election. She got a 47-page legal memo from the States United Democracy Center. All got sent over to her. Daily Signal reported on that, outlining a plan for her to prosecute people who were questioning the rigged 2020 election. She was prosecuting almost everybody on that list. Trump, of course, was not prosecuted because she couldn't really make the big swing or has as much bravado as Big Fanny. She's only Chris Mays. So Brad Miller, the incoming Pinal County attorney who's currently representing the party chair called Kelly Ward and her husband, said that he thinks the lawsuit is ultimately going to get dismissed. And of course, it has largely been neutered because Chris Mays is so dumb. But she's appealing it to the Arizona Supreme Court to try to reinvigorate her failed prosecution. But she got the memo. She got the order from States United Democracy Center. And of course, we know that they were the legal architect of the entire operation. So beautiful article here and provides a lot of details. But the guy behind all of this is Norm Eisen. And this guy right here has been attacking Republicans since the very beginning, working on the impeachment of President Trump. So DOJ now being sued by Judicial Watch because they won't cooperate and give all the records that are relevant to public enforcement, public accountability, says the lawsuit was filed in the District of Columbia because the DOJ failed to respond to 2 FOIA requests. Why? What's going on over there? President of Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton, he said, Americans have a right to know whether the Justice Department officials and outside lawyers like Norm Eisen were involved in efforts to investigate or influence political activity related to 2020. We're going to continue to use the courts to ensure the public has access to records showing how federal agencies investigated political activities. And it should have already been disclosed to us. We should already know this information. In fact, these people should probably be prosecuted. Judicial Watch is a national leader in exposing this. It's part of a comprehensive takedown that was meant to take out Trump and almost did. In February 2026, Judicial Watch secured the release of rosters identifying the names of the top deputies who worked for Jack Smith. Those names were once again released after Judicial Watch filed a FOIA lawsuit suing Joe Biden for a list of these people who were working on this stuff. In January 2026, Judicial Watch again sued the DOJ about Public Corruption Unit and what they did in Arctic Frost. In November 2025, again sued the Justice Department for emails about how Jack Smith was colluding with Fannie Willis and Letitia James and the White House and other congressional investigations. Once again, in 2025, Judicial Watch sued to determine what Timothy Tebow, the anti-Trump FBI agent, what he was doing with the operation called American Oversight. It's like never ending. The DOJ should be the people who are processing these requests expediently and releasing the information so that we can know what actually happened here. In August 2025, a Georgia state court ordered Big Fanny to provide new information. We've covered a lot of that here because her recent affidavit to the court made no reference to anything about Nathan Wade or the chief investigator and how they literally met with the January 6th Select Committee. Nathan Wade billed for it. Look for this. We thought we were going to get it, but we're not. In June, Judicial Watch sued the Justice Department for records. Another one, they sued Arizona Attorney General. In March, they sued the DOJ again. In January, they sued and a federal court ordered the Justice Department, a federal court ordered Pam Bondi to give us information to Judicial Watch about information about Jack Smith and Fannie Willis. Why does Judicial Watch have to sue Pam Bondi to get a federal judge to give us this information? Justice Department is objecting. They say, no, we don't want to give it to you, even though the prosecutions are over. What the hell is going on over there? It's insane. So here's the lawsuit. You can see more details. It makes me so mad. Plaintiff Judicial Watch brings this action against the DOJ once again. The court has jurisdiction, venue is proper. Judicial Watch is a not-for-profit educational organization. They seek, and by the way, just wait for this. At the end of this document, wait until you see what lawyer signed this and is the drafter of this filing. A complaint by Judicial Watch against Pam Bondi, who's not doing anything apparently. Plaintiff Judicial Watch is a not-for-profit organization. They promote transparency, integrity, and accountability, and fidelity to the rule of law. As part of its mission, Judicial Watch regularly requests information pursuant to FOIA. We analyze their response, we disseminate its findings to the public, thank you, and the requested records so that Americans know what their government is up to. Now, the defendant, the DOJ, is over in Washington, D.C., led by Pam. So here's more. On November 10th, they submitted a FOIA request to the Office of Information Policy, another component of the Pam Bondi DOJ, seeking access to the following: records and communications between Norm Eisen and Merrick Garland, Norm Eisen and Lisa Monaco, who was the cover-up person of Hunter Biden. Merrick Garland, of course, came out and issued an illegal order appointing Jack Smith. He tried to invoke the Reno regulations. Jack Smith was adjudicated to be an illegitimate special counsel, and Garland is a co-conspirator in the raid and the execution and prosecution of Trump. And Jack Smith. Did Norm Eisen communicate with Jack Smith, the illegitimate prosecutor he came after the raid, but he inherited the case from the FBI who raided Trump and went through Melania's closet. They said, hi, Pam, can you give us some information? We want info about Arctic Frost, April 2020, all the way from when it was opened, and everything that they investigated, and anything that Norm Eisen, who is like the hub, and all the spokes come out from him and guys like Mark Elias. So the time frame, once again, January 1 all the way to present. By letter dated December 17th, the Office of Information Policy, they said, yeah, we got your request. We got it back November 10th. We know you sent it, and we're going to give you a new tracking number. It's called FOIA case number there. They also informed the plaintiff that it had invoked FOIA's 10-day extension of time provision because these are unusual circumstances. So we're going to need more time to comply with this, but we got your release. And under FOIA, there's kind of a strict delineation of timelines. Patients at the DOJ. Nobody's bringing this up to higher levels. Pam Bondi's just oblivious. We're talking about the stock market or whatever. Plaintiff has received no further response from the OIP about the request as well. And so, as of the date of this complaint, DOJ Pam has failed to determine whether to comply with the request, failed to notify Judicial Watch of any determination for the reasons therefore, and has failed to advise Judicial Watch of the right to appeal any adverse determination. They don't even want to make a determination because then that kicks off a whole new sequence of events. They also have failed to produce the requested records or otherwise demonstrate that the records are exempt from production. So this should be like a no-brainer. It's like a 2-foot putt. You should sink it every time. Pam Bondi and the DOJ should say, oh yeah, Norm Eisen? You're looking for Norm Eisen? Sure. Here you go. Here's 1,000 pages of documents. But they're not. Plaintiff, first of all, if there's evidence of a crime, there should be an open investigation. If there's an open investigation, they can say it. If there's another reason, they can say it. They're not. They're just stalling it out. So now they're being sued, and I hope that we're successful on this because Norm is the hub of a lot of electoral lawfare problems. So we allege this. Judicial Watch is now breaking the law in violation of FOIA, and Judicial Watch in America is being irreparably harmed because these guys are continuing. They're unfettered. So now Judicial Watch respectfully asks again, please, court, can you make Pam Bondi do something? Order her to search for any and all records responsive to our FOIA requests, and demonstrate that it employed search methods that were actually reasonably likely to lead to the discovery of responsive records in our requests. Order Pam to produce by a certain date any and all non-exempt records responsive to our requests and give us an index of responsive records withheld under the claim of exemption. Stop her from continuing to withhold any and all non-exempt records and grant us an award of attorney's fees, by the way, and other litigation costs reasonably incurred by this lawsuit. Sued, dated March 3rd, 2026, and look who signed this document. Dun 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 dun. Christina Bobb. You remember Christina Bobb? She used to be a lawyer for Trump. She was the custodian of records back during the Mar-a-Lago raid. And Christina Bobb, as we know, was actually arrested, indicted, and mugshotted in Arizona. And she took it with a lot of fun. She posted this after her mugshot was released. Christina Bobb, new profile pic, now joining Judicial Watch and suing on behalf of America. She knows, in other words, where the bodies are buried and knows what is out there. And so we're excited to see that she is now in the fray on this. This is Norm Eisen colluding with Jerry Nadler, who might be one of the dumbest people in Congress. He waddles around. He's been there forever. He's retiring now. But here's an example of some of them. AFL, America First Legal, their investigation has revealed that numerous blue states are weaponizing courts to obstruct Trump. We've been covering it here for over a year now. Since the new administration started, from day one, they were under judicial coup and judicial attack. AFL has also filed public records requests with state agencies across the country, seeking evidence related to the harms these states have alleged. The results are staggering. State after state has either admitted they have no records to support their claims, or they're failing to respond completely. And under the Constitution, in order to have a legal case, you actually have to have a case in controversy, which means concrete injury. Their findings, though, show that liberal-run blue states are making a mockery of this. California, for example, sued the DOJ over their executive order, saying, don't be mean to the T's. California didn't respond when they said, well, what's the harm to the T's that you've identified that makes this an actual case in controversy? They don't have one. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Illinois, Nevada, 4 of 15 states sued Trump over the genital lopidogophomies. What's the harm there? Do you have anything you can point to? No, they can't. New York, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, and Michigan. 4 of the 17 states also sued over the wind moratorium. California, Rhode Island, Hawaii, Arizona, a bunch of blue states, sued over Homeland Security. Washington, Oregon, Illinois, more from Arizona, sued over another executive order about citizenship. So the pattern is undeniable. Blue states are being fed information from private nonprofits and then abusing the judicial process to wage war, lawfare, against the duly elected president of the United States, pleading speculative harms that their own agencies can't even substantiate. And apparently the DOJ can't figure out this is a problem. AFL's evidence suggests that state attorneys generals are filing these complaints without even conferring with the agencies because they know the courts are going to have their back. So AFL is urging Jim Jordan, Chuck Grassley, you guys on the judiciary committees in the House and the Senate, do something. Use your exclusive jurisdiction over the federal courts and the administration of justice to investigate this. At least release the records, for crying out loud. And again, like anything, if our own Justice Department can be used to steal elections and to prosecute political opponents in America, that's not a free country. That is an abusive kleptocracy where the people who steal the positions of power govern all of us, and we have been demanding an end to it for a long time now, so we are very grateful to Judicial Watch. Thank you for suing again. Hopefully those records are...
And that's the problem. We all in this motherfucking hope bullshit. Either they're gonna do something or they're not, and they need to be held accountable for not doing shit. But it is what it is. I'm Mr. Glass, 48.